Here's everything I ate at my 3-day wedding celebration in France. To get you up to speed, in 2021, James and I had a tiny lockdown wedding in New Zealand. 2 years later, we finally got to have our dream wedding celebration with 60 of our nearest and dearest who traveled from all over the world to join us for 3 days in a tiny town in the south of France. I had only seen photos online of our wedding venue before we arrived, but it honestly blew every expectation I had. Anyway, let's get on to what we ate for the 3 days we were here. We did a very chill first dinner by the pool. We ordered about 30 pizzas from a local pizza spot in town, forgetting that in France they do not pre-slice the pizza. We had so many good flavors, including this one topped with camembert, potatoes, and onions. Then for dessert, magnums, because magnums are life. The venue provided everyone with the most incredible breakfast spread each morning. Everything was fresh, homemade, and absolutely delicious. And those croissants were probably the best I had throughout my whole time in France. For lunch on the second day, we got a bunch of mini baguettes from an incredible boulangerie in town. The baguettes themselves had that nice, almost chewy texture to them. All the fillings were super simple, but such fresh, high quality ingredients. We got a bunch of patisseries for dessert, and I forgot to film it, but I had the raspberry tart and it was perfection. That night, we got caterers in to do a massive paella. This was packed with like every different type of seafood and meat that you could imagine. A lot of people came up and told me it was the best paella they've ever had. Alongside, we also had sangria, which was such a treat in the hot weather, as well as some jamon on toast, which was freshly sliced off the bone. The next morning, it was our wedding day. I started with a few mini pastries and some orange juice. Every bride says they forget to eat on their wedding day, so I was really making an effort not to do that. Later on, I got a plate full of fresh baguette, butter, goat's cheese, and some scrambled eggs. And I just cannot tell you how much I enjoyed this plate of food. It was so good. Then it was time for our ceremony, and it was so special finally having my dad walk me down the aisle. The ceremony was so wonderful. The only thing that wasn't wonderful was the heat. It was literally 40 degrees at this point, so I am very thankful no one fainted from heat stroke. After the ceremony, of course, we had some champagne. For lunch, we did a DIY grazing platter. Big shout out to my dad and mother-in-law for choosing out the best selection of ingredients to go on here, and to my talented friends who set this up and made it look even better than Pinterest could ever. Now, if you're wondering why we chose France for our wedding, 68% of it was for the cheese bread and charcuterie. Highlight of the board was definitely the blue cheese. It was so creamy and sharp and delectable. And it turns out I cannot even be ladylike when I eat food on my wedding day. After lunch, we all jumped in the pool, and I still can't believe I went swimming on my wedding day. Then we had an ice cream truck, which really hit the spot in that 40-degree heat. I got 1 scoop of passion fruit and 1 scoop of salted caramel, and I am honestly still dreaming about how good this ice cream was. Before we knew it, it was canapé time. The catering did so many different options. We had camembert crostini, beetroot hummus, smoked salmon blini, prawn and chicken skewers, even some samosas. Once the canapés were done, we headed off to the reception, and this setup made me so happy. I have just always dreamt of doing an al fresco dining situation for a wedding reception. We decided to go for quite a casual reception dinner because as much as I love fine dining, I much prefer this vibe for a wedding. We had a barbecue party with all kinds of meats, including chicken, beef, sausages, tuna, and salmon. On the side, there was baked potato, roast veggies, salad, lots of sauces, and of course, baguette. I was very impressed. All the meat was impeccably cooked and all the sides were simple but just very well executed. For dessert, we served a croquembouche, which is a tower of profiteroles covered in spun sugar. This is actually what they typically serve in France instead of a wedding cake, so we just thought it'd be really fun to stick to that tradition. I don't know whether I was just on a high from the wedding, but I honestly think that was the best profiterole I've ever had in my life. And then we danced the night away.